Buenos dias. Good morning. So it's Friday.
It is.
I don't know if you noticed that, but I like to do these on Fridays because it just you just feel like it's Friday, and it really is.
The Friday vibes. Friday vibes.
We got Jazzie vibes today, dude. Okay, this is so exciting.
Thank you for having me.
No, thank you. Okay, so Jazzie and I started a conversation in a parking lot. That's when you know when you can go deep with somebody standing in a parking lot. Yeah. You're like, I need to get this. I need to get her
we were
here.
unveiling those layers real quick. We're like, yes.
I'm standing there and I'm like, how do I tell her I want her on the chat? So Jazzie we're going to be talking about why it's important to know who you are. And this is something I've kind of mentioned here and there throughout my interviews of like Vanessa, somebody that we work with, had told me about like going to therapy and being like, oh, like you're going to know who you are. And I'm just like, why is that important? And obviously going through the process, you're like, oh, and Jazzie has some really awesome things to say about that. But before we get into it, I always like to ask my guests, who are you? Who are you really, Jazzie?
Ooh, that's a really good question.
I'm gonna get my coffee.
I would say I'm a human who is just trying to live their best authentic life with integrity.
Wow. We've heard some answers, but that is quite an answer. I mean, it doesn't get more clear than that.
Thank you. Yeah.
Wow.
I think it's taken time for me to really narrow it down because I've always heard that, like, know who you are. And to me, when I would hear it, like when I was younger, I'd be like, duh, we all know who we are. but in fact, I didn't really know who I was because when I would hear it, I was just like, oh yeah, I know who I am. Like, I'm Jazzie.
What did you think you knew? What did you think it was?
I felt like it's like my name. Like you know what I mean? Like I'm Jazzie. But I was like my full name. Like that, I'm Jazzie. Like,
or like I'm Jazzie, I'm a daughter.
Exactly. And I just kind of give like those type of like nouns and adjectives of like I'm a daughter, like you said, I'm a daughter, I'm like a third grader or whatever. It was like that's who I am. Like how can you forget? But it's like that's not what the question really entails. It's like who are you as a person, like to your core. Like not what people tell you who you are or what like society tells you to be or what others, all the noise. It's like, no, who do you see yourself as? And also being honest, because I feel like one of the things too that sometimes we're a little bit like, don't get me wrong, Delulu is somewhat the Salulu, but sometimes we do have to be honest with ourselves because when we're not, sometimes we're enabling habits or parts of our character that are not even character parts that aren't really us, but we're enabling them because of like comfort or because it helped us get through certain situations, and that's kind of all we know. And we can't really use that as an excuse to a certain degree because I guess it got you out of that one situation. Right. But are these habits healthy, and are they going to take you to the next step of your life or to the next opportunity? So asking yourselves like those really tough questions, I feel, because that question itself, who are you? That's a tough question. It's not just like describe like your name, your location. Like no, it's like who are you? Like what do you stand for? Yeah. What do you care about? What are your values? What are your morals? And not what other people tell you to like care about. You know?
We are in it. We're already here. We've arrived, my friends. Oh my gosh. So my next question is, and I think to kick us off, really, I mean, that's beautiful what you're saying. I mean, you're nailing it. I guess my first question would be, how do you even start this journey as far as like, when someone tells you like, you should go to therapy, or not even the therapy part, but like, you should try to get to know who you are. Yeah. Like, and most people either go like, I know who I am, it's like, so how do you, how does one even start that journey to themselves?
I know for me, I reached a point where I was kind of like sick of myself in a sense, like, because I felt like I was feeling things and I was going through some hard times, and I generally felt like I didn't know what to do or what I was doing or how to even navigate a lot of that stuff. So I think I reached a point where I'm like, I need help. I don't know what to do. Obviously my friends, that's out of their jurisdiction. That's not even fair to them because it's like, these are big problems that like they themselves may, don't know what to do. So that's when I realized like, I need to get professional help. I need to really find someone who's going to help me navigate through these tough waters, because again, the people around me, like, they wanted to help me, but they didn't have the tools to help me. And I think that's where I started. And I'm so glad that I did. It was tough. I was terrified. Because it is true. Once you go to therapy, you really unveil like the parts of you that maybe you've locked away, or the parts of you that you haven't accepted, or some stories that you don't really like. It didn't happen if I don't talk about it. You know what I mean?
Right.
And I had quite a few of those, and those are scary. It's so scary, because you really are, like, the best way I could describe therapy is like you're literally having a mirror put to you, and you're seeing yourself for maybe for the first time with like clarity, and you're seeing yourself for who you are and all the vulnerability. And being vulnerable is so scary sometimes. Like it requires a lot of bravery. And I think being in the right headspace to receive the maybe advice or the direction or clarification or the accountability.
Ooh,
I was terrified for that reason.
I mean, you talk about vulnerability, and it's, I think most people think like, oh, vulnerability with others, but it's like, no, being vulnerable with yourself.
Yes.
And being like, oh, like, I guess maybe I don't like how I did that or what I did with that pattern, and like forgiving yourself, and like there's just all this stuff. Like, how was it for you to open up to yourself? How was that?
In the beginning, I feel it was a little tough, just because, again, I was just like all over the place. And after a session, you know, like luckily I had a really great therapist that really just like slowly kind of, you know, started unveiling the layers and would like, you know, probe me or ask me questions to get deeper, and would head me in the right direction. And I feel like after a while, then I was like, okay, in order for me to really get the fullness of this experience, I need to be honest. That's one thing that I've learned, is like, you can't lie. You have to be honest. Even if it's like, you can't lie to yourself. Like, don't lie to yourself. Don't lie to your therapist. Don't lie. Be honest. Even if you do feel that guilt, even if you do feel that shame, that is part of the process. That's something that you will, as time goes on, will like start shedding. That's what you're supposed to do, because shame doesn't do anything for you. It really, really doesn't. It just hinders your growth. It just puts you in a little box where you feel sad, maybe frustrated, mad, or angry, which again, super valid to feel, because shame, you know, is instilled from us, even society wise. Like, you know, like if you're not ashamed for this, and like, you're not really like, no, like shame. But at the same time, like, I'm not entirely sure what the purpose of shame is, to be honest.
I was just going to say, like, I know like every emotion is there to serve you in some way, but shame is I think it's something, I think like it's something that's imposed by people to make you, like, them feel better, but we're all just not being honest with ourselves. Yeah,
because I feel maybe shame is like maybe adjacent from accountability, but when it's accountable, it's different, because you're taking accountability and responsibility for your behavior and your actions and your words, versus shame is like, you know, versus judgy, accountability, it's more like, I feel like if it was emotion, it'd be like this.
Right.
And shame is like,
it's like above you, inferior to you.
Almost like, you know, belittling you, really. And I think in any situation, that's never going to help anyone. Like, if they're already feeling down in the dumps, and shaming someone, or shaming yourself especially, isn't going to make you feel better. It's just going to make you feel smaller and more sad, and again, in this little box that we're trying to get out of. So don't feel shame about like the process of therapy. That's the whole, one of the goals too, is to shed that shame and shed that guilt, because we all made mistakes. I know I have made my fair share of mistakes.
We'll continue to make mistakes.
Yes, exactly. Yes, but as we become, I feel like as we become aware, we're hopefully not making the same ones. I would say.
The honesty piece, I think, is really, really cool. I don't know that we've dived too deep into this here at Yaki Coffee Chat. So thank you for bringing that up. I think honesty with yourself is can we talk about why it's hard to do that? Like, why is it so hard for us to be honest? Because I think people don't, like, when we're talking about being honest, we're talking about like, hey, don't worry, like, there's literally no one in the room but you and yourself. Like, you don't have to hide, you don't have to like filter, like, be honest with how you're feeling about something, or how something made you feel, or what it is that you really want, or, you know, any of that. Like, why do you feel like it was hard for you to be so honest? I
think because I didn't want to feel those feelings.
Like, why did you not want to feel those feelings?
Because they made me feel icky.
Oh.
Like, they made me feel like...
Why?
I am struggling, like, so I had to learn to be able to be okay with sadness, to be able to be okay with fear, to be able to be okay with anger and frustration, all that, because my primary, like, love is joy. I just love always just being happy. Like, if anything, like, so I think I kind of had myself in a space where, like, anything that wasn't joy or happiness, I would kind of like, no, we're not gonna. I would think I was feeling, but I'd kind of feel it for like a little bit. I kind of like stick my feet in it, and then okay, I felt it. Okay, done.
It's there, got it. Okay, cool.
Yeah. We can move on.
Back to joy now.
Yes, like join the console, please. Everybody got their 2 minutes. That's enough. But that wasn't really like furthering my growth because of that, and these emotions weren't getting their time. I didn't know how to handle them. So when they would come, sometimes I would feel like I would lose control over my emotions because I'd feel sad and I would feel sad, like so sad. I remember there's some occasions where I would just start uncontrollably crying, just crying, and I'm like, I don't want to cry anymore, but I feel like I can't stop. And that was my body and my spirit saying like, hey, like you need to feel this. Like it is okay to feel sad. It's okay to feel any other emotion besides joy, because again, I was just like, no, I just want to be joy. Joy all the time. Joy. I know. Where's joy? Figure back. And it's like, that's lovely. But all these other emotions, like you said earlier, really play a role in our growth, in our human experience. And how are you supposed to control something you don't even allow yourself to feel? And I think that's what I learned too, is like you have to feel these emotions, and it's okay to feel these. Like, for example, I know anger was one of them too. Like, it was a time period too, I was like just really, really angry. And it turned out I was angry at myself. And I was angry at myself because I wasn't, again, allowing myself to feel emotions. I wasn't allowing myself to take accountability. I was just kind of just feel these emotions and just like, I don't know where these came from. I don't know why I'm feeling this. Like, well, because you're not allowing yourself to feel them. You're not allowing anything to really happen, to like, and you're not nurturing them either. And so I've had to learn through therapy how to feel these emotions, but also like in a healthy way. Because I think there's also this misconception with anger, like, oh, like, no, you don't, like, angry is scary. Like,
anger management.
Yes. And it's, but it's literally like one thing that I learned, or one thing that I heard, was that anger is one of the emotions that cares about you the most because it provides like justice. So when someone mistreats you, you know, like I say, I was mean to you, and you get angry. Angry is angry because you're like, oh no, you're mean to my Jackie girl. You just crossed a boundary. Like no. Like that's why you're angry, because anger is trying to like
stick up for you. Yes. Oh, I never saw it that way. Okay, that's quite interesting.
Yeah, I feel like once I kind of saw it that way, I was like, okay.
So you're here for me.
Yes, so you're not against me.
Yeah, you're not against me. Let's work together on how we can manage.
Yeah, like you're not trying to make me look like a clown.
That's true, and in a way that means that you really are like the parts of you that you feel like you can embrace them, you know, because they're all there for you. The getting to know you part, I think, you know, when we talk about like honesty and stuff, it's like, you know, I talk a lot about it because it is a big part of my life, but like struggling with my identity, my queer identity, like I remember there were times where I would like suppress it, and I remember, and looking back, I'm like, damn, like I caused more harm in not being honest. And then, and not to say that like when I started to accept myself, it was comfortable, that honesty. It wasn't. It was still uncomfortable. And so that's why I think there's a process. I think when it comes to honesty, it's like, we're not saying like, oh, once you're honest, it's like, oh, you know, it's a process. It's like it's like growing pain of like, now you've stopped resisting, and you have to deal with that, what that did to you. Yes. Right? And then you have to be honest and be like, okay, and like be more comfortable with those honest feelings, and then get to a point where that honesty can be like, there's trust built within yourself, and it's like a whole process. Like, so do you feel like there was a process? That was I feel like that was my sort of process to being more honest, and seeing the benefit of being honest with myself. But how was that like process for you and being more honest with yourself?
I feel like it was similar to yours. Like once I figured out that like, hey, you being honest with how you're really feeling and what's bothering you and not feeling shame, like that's when I really started to see the fruits of my labor, because I started to be able to address things right at the core and right at the root of the problem. So because of that, I was able to gain more like connection with myself because of that. I would say so, yeah.
It's that connection, and that's that when people say like getting to know who you are, it's like just like how you get to know people, right? Yes. And the more that you understand their quirks and their loves and their values, like you're talking about, there's a deeper connection. And so you must do the same with yourself. And I think it's so hard for us to take that time to do that. And I think therapy is a way to do it. I don't think, there's different ways to do it. That's what has helped me. It sounds like that's what's helped you. Yes. But I think like there's a fear of being honest, and there's the fear of like, I don't know if you've ever experienced, I think it sounds like you may have experiences, but like not ready to change for the better. Like there's sometimes a comfort in not being honest, or like you're just sort of in this like, not cocoon, but you're just kind of like, because I felt for a long time, I was like, well, I guess this is how just my life was going to be. Like, I felt like my 20s there was a lot of like fog of depression, of like just being like, just going through the motions, because there was a lot of resistance, and there was a lot of like, I always try to like figure out like, oh, there's something I got to fix about myself. And so by getting to know who I was like, wait, there's nothing to fix. Like, this felt more comfortable and more nurturing, like the getting to know myself, than in my 20s when I was like trying to fix something about myself.
Yes.
So
you learn it's more like embracing yourself, because there's a lot. Yes, there's certain parts that we need to like address and
nurture.
I guess fix. Yeah, like change. I would say change. There's certain things, but like it's not so much changing who you are. It's more just embracing parts of you that you didn't before. Because once you start embracing parts of you, it just kind of starts having the domino effect of like, oh well, I'm like owning who you are, like in all aspects of yourself. And if there's parts of you that you don't like, that you're able to work on them, you're able to create new habits. You're like, it doesn't just stop. Like, we're not defined by anything. We're not just like putting ourselves in our own box. I feel like for me it was really, really harmful. Like, oh, this is how I am, and then that's it. It's like, no, like, yes, there's parts of you that maybe we can, develop further. But again, just embracing the parts of me that I was ashamed of. I think once I did that, it really helped me know who I was. And the biggest thing too was I realized in therapy, because I was making poor decisions in the past, or just wasn't listening to myself, I made poor decisions, right? I lost a lot of trust. And no one talks about, like, once you lose trust with yourself, how damaging it is. Because I lost that trust with myself, I feel like I lost a lot of myself. Because I didn't trust myself to get myself out of situations, or I didn't trust, because I was like, oh no, because some of the situations I would just gaslight. I'm like, no, it's fine. Like, let's say I was in a situation where, like, maybe around bad company, or like just in a situation that's just kind of questionable. Sometimes, this is where maybe joy could have taken the back seat, because it would be like, it's fine. They're good. Just give them the benefit of the doubt. Like, maybe they're having a rough day, but like, again, there's certain situations where you can kind of just like, when you have like that gut instinct. Yeah. That would happen, and I would sometimes gaslight him. It's like, that's okay.
Oh, the joy is doing that.
Yes. And that's when I learned. That's where I started learning. Like, so maybe having joy at the console all the time isn't good. Because then things start just going over my head. I'm like, they didn't mean that, or it's okay, it's fine. It's like, but some things aren't fine. Some things, like, again, when you have a gut feeling, listen to it. There's a reason. Like, that's an instinct. Like, and because I wasn't listening to it, I felt like that feeling or that gut instinct started kind of fading away. And because I didn't have it anymore, or I wouldn't listen to it, again, I lost so much trust. So when I went to therapy, and she's like, yeah, you really don't trust. Like, and at the end of the day, like, it comes down because you don't trust yourself. And I'm like, I don't trust other people because I don't trust myself, because in the past, I was just like, it's fine. It's okay. It's all good. It wasn't all good.
Really, like, that example is so, I think we all caught that. Like, I like resonated with it so much, because I really visualize like how sometimes, like, there's a place in which your emotions serve you best, and and how that does trickle back to self-trust. Because I think trust is like, Anna always tells me, she's like, you gotta trust yourself more. I'm like, and I want that. Like, I'm on a quest right now where I'm aware and I know who I am, but I'm on a quest now of like, how can I really trust myself the way I trust Anna and love Anna? Like, how can I really look myself in the mirror and be and give myself that same, like I want to like myself. I know it sounds kind of weird.
No, it's not weird at all.
I want to like myself. Yes. And I think part of it is like, well, I think trust is a foundation of any relationship, any working relationship, any relationship.
Yes.
And I'm like, damn, if you don't trust, like, that's where I think for me, that's where triggers come up. That's where anxiety.
Foundation.
Yeah. So I'm like, so what do you recommend? How do you build that trust, girl? Because I've gotten to know who I am, but I'm like, I don't know tell me.
Thank you for asking that question.
Oh, she's ready.
One of the things I do is like keeping to your word. So for example, if you say, tomorrow I'm gonna wake up at 9 and make myself a huevito. You wake up at 9 and you make yourself a huevito. Like, you have to, like, because every time you say you're gonna do something and you don't do it, you're just showing to yourself like, oh, I'm not reliable. Like, I don't keep to my word. And again, it might not seem like that deep. Like, oh, I just didn't go or whatever. But after a while, you constantly breaking promises to yourself. You're just showing yourself like, yo, like, I don't take myself serious.
Oh, dang.
Like, you want to, like, for example, you want to do that to Anna, right? Like, if she's like, hey, tomorrow we're going to the walk, right? We're going on a walk tomorrow. You said it, right? So you're gonna hold up to that. We're gonna go to a walk tomorrow.
Dang.
Like, but if you're not doing that with yourself, So the next thing with that is, so now what I do is like, instead of saying like, I'm going to go to the gym at 9, I just tell myself, okay, I'm going to go to the gym, period. So like, I'm giving myself that leeway, because if I say I'm going to go to the gym at 9, let's say I still go to the gym, but I didn't go at 9, then I technically broke that promise, because I went, but I didn't go at 9. You know what I'm saying? So you gotta slowly like, make those task lists, start off small, and you start building those. Like, so if you say you're going to do something, you have to do it, because over time, if it happens once in a while, we get it, life happens, it's kind of hard. But if it continuously happens, all you're showing yourself is that you're not consistent and you're not reliable to yourself. So if you're not reliable to yourself, like if a person kept flaking, would you consider them reliable? Would you trust them? Same thing. If you're constantly flaking on yourself, I know when I put that two and two together, I was like, oh my.
Because it's like these things that you don't even think. Honestly,
yes, I didn't think about it. I was like, what do you mean? Like,
relate back to something super core of yourself. So that is, I will definitely take that with me starting today.
Yeah.
Do you feel like you are not? Do you want to come closer to me? I feel like you're on the edge of the
am I?
I feel like you are, and you're the guest, so you gotta be. Okay, I like that one. I like that one a lot. What else you got, Jazzie? I feel like you got some other ones.
I would say also being kinder to yourself. So like, when they say like, would you say that to a friend? And if the answer is no, don't say that to yourself. And sometimes I am guilty of being really hard on critical of myself. It's like, well, it's because I'm me. No, it doesn't matter. Even if you're you, even if it's like in your head, even like be nice to yourself. Because I also noticed that when you're nicer to yourself, you're also nicer to others. When you're patient with yourself, you're also more likely to be patient with other people. And the fact that you're giving other people more patience and kindness than to yourself, like that in itself is a problem. It's like, why are you extending yourself and pouring into other people's cups and not even pouring into yours?
Well, so yeah, let's talk about that for a second. In your journey and getting to know yourself, what do you, if you feel comfortable sharing, like what do you think is that idea of like being hard on yourself? Like where do you think it comes from?
The outside noises, like growing up, like having people have expectations on you, or society, from a young age, having you kind of like compete, or having like, again, to me, my experience, it's just been a lot of outside noise. Because yes, I have a certain standard for myself, because I believe in myself. I know I'm talented. I know I have these capabilities, but I'm a human.
Yeah.
I'm not like, so I have to remind myself, like, hey, like you're having these really high expectations as if like you're not a human. And that's something that I've had to work through, because as I mentioned earlier, like there's a point in time where I'm like, I want to be a Roomba. Roomba's consistent. Roomba's a robot. Like, you know what I mean? But as humans, we're not.
What color?
I'd probably do like a glittery one with like stickers on it.
I see that.
And then I have like my designated support station, like do my job, clean, come out for a little bit, and then go back into my little station, like.
Well, let's see. Okay, I know she's joking, but it's true. Like, I think I love that rawness about you of like, yeah, like sometimes it's hard. It's hard out here, and sometimes it's hard to deal with everything. And yeah, there are days where you're just like, I just don't want to talk to anybody. I don't want to be like, I just want to, I think that is, do you feel like, I feel like that is part of the human experience, because like we're humans.
Yeah. And that also, when I realized too, like when I was going to therapy is like exercise. When you go to the gym and like you do a really good workout. So it's in a scenario, like you went to therapy, you had a really good session. Yeah. You're going to be sore, meaning emotionally. So like the next couple of days, like you have to be mentally prepared to like, you might be feeling things, 'cause again, we're supposed to be feeling our feelings. So when you're like rehashing it out in therapy, you might be a little sore the next couple days, and that's something that's okay. It's part of the process. It's normal. But there's times like you mentioned that I was just like, I want to be a robot. I don't want to feel nothing. I've felt all the feels.
Right.
I've been feeling since Monday.
Right.
It's Thursday. I don't want to feel no more. Like I just want to be a robot and just be like, but it's like, that's not what I am. I am a human who came to experience human life, and that's okay. And then the good and the bad, just, gotta just learn to embrace it, learn to not fear it. Cause I think that's one thing I can admit, is that I'm very fearful of some of the emotions that are not joy. I'm just like, ooh. But like, as my journey has gone, I feel like now me and anger are like, what's up? And anxiety are just like, hey girl, like we're a little bit more acquainted.
We're
still working on it, because sometimes I'm still kind of like hesitant to like, but I feel like I'm a way more acquainted than I was before, when I was like, anytime they'd come up, it's like, no, go back over there.
So now that you're more acquainted, how does that translate into like, can you give us an example of like what has happened because of that? Yeah,
so like for example, let's say I'm feeling like I'm feeling the emotion anger, right? So I kind of dissected, okay, why am I angry? Like I ask myself those tough questions. Why am I angry? Oh, it's for this, Y, and Z. Oh, why did that really bother you? Like, did it bother you because this person did it, or did it bother you because it made you feel, I don't know, embarrassed? Like, why? And I really just like go down to like the feeling of it's like, oh, I feel I'm angry because I feel betrayed. I feel like that caught me off guard, or I feel just frustrated with that person. Why would they say or do that, or etc. And then once I kind of pinpoint it, and okay, now that you identify that emotion to why you're feeling that, what can we do with it? Because sometimes it's just also what I've learned is like just kind of some energy that's in there. So like sometimes I'll go like work out, or like I'll like do my nails, or I'll do something creative or something that's like where I'm moving my body to kind of help them, like kind of help it get out of me. So it's not like just pinned up, because that's another thing too, like emotions, if you keep suppressing them, they will come out in your health, they will come out physically, they will come out in whatever way they need to come out, because it has to come out. Whether it be at your own convenience or not at the convenience. So like you either choose to do it on your own time, or if you suppress it to the point, it'll just come out at the most, because it happened to me, it'll come out the most inconvenient time. And so now I've learned like, hey, let's feel these emotions ahead of time, so that I'm not at a certain scenario and I'm like, I don't want to be feeling these feelings now, but I just can't anymore, because your body just wants to get it out.
Yeah. You I don't know if you noticed this, but you talked about this offline, but when she was talking about the feelings right now, it's about not just feeling them, but talking your feelings through. Yes.
So one thing that I used to do is I didn't know that you had to really feel, and I'm still learning how to feel emotions even now. Because before I thought I was like, I would talk about it with my friends or people, and I'm like, I'm so good at feeling my feelings, so I talk about it all the time. And it was the time my therapist was like, just because you talk about it doesn't mean you're necessarily feeling them. So when I would talk about them, it would be like me feeling them in doses versus actually just sitting and feeling them. And I've been doing that, and it's a crazy experience, because I don't just be sitting there, my sadness take over. Just be sad, and I just be sitting there just sad, like a little sad, like squishmallow, just there, just like sad, and it was like, but it feels good because it makes me feel like I'm connecting with myself, I'm honoring myself and my feelings, and I'm being brave. Because I feel like it does take bravery to just be like, I'm sad, I'm angry, I'm frustrated, I'm just
disappointed.
Disappointed. That's another one too. That I'm like, I don't want to be disappointed.
You don't want to. It's not comfortable to feel these things, but I think like going back to what you were saying about being honest, you start to pick up patterns that you do, and that's the part of like getting to know yourself. You're like, oh, I tend to do this when I do that, and then you get to ask yourself, like, is that how I want to live, or that's how I want to feel? Because there's always, then you make a decision. You can make a decision to figure out how to manage those emotions better, how to, and what do you envision for your life? Like, I think, when I see someone like you, like, look at her, like confident, your unique self-expression. Like, I think it's a really special thing, and I think, definitely like gravitate toward, like, if you see people that are like confident, I think a lot of the times, like, I think Latinos are like, oh, like if someone's bragging or they're not humble, it's like, no, like for me, I'm like, dude, if I see somebody who's like so confident and they love who they are, they love what they do, like, that's special. Yeah. Like, because to be honest, like, I think this journey that I've been on, like, I wouldn't be right here today with you if I had not taken the time to really understand who I was and how I had gotten here. Yeah. And been like, wait, you know what? This is what I really want to do, And so really honoring my real self, because I learned in therapy, there's like the role self and the truth, the role self and the true self. And I think like when you get to know who you really are and what you really want, you start to make decisions that are gonna get you closer to how you really want to live your life. Like, as you say, like, you want to live your truest expression of yourself, right? With integrity. And how can you lose with that? Like, that's, I don't know, maybe I think that's a beautiful way to live life,
Yeah.
Presently.
I totally agree with you. I think I admire people who are confident, because now, especially being in therapy, like, that takes work. Being confident takes work. Like,
so much work.
Yeah, a lot of personal work. And not only that, but being able to shut off the noise. Because now I've learned that now when someone like is trying to like bag on someone, like say there's a confident person that like just like, oh, like they need to humble themselves, or like they're intimidating, or et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. That's projection. That's projection. Like anytime anybody like comes up to you and is like, oh, when I first met you, I was so intimidated by you. It's like, that to me, I've learned like that's projection. Like, why did you classify me here when I'm here? I'm the same as you and me. Like, I'm over here just trying to make it by. I'm over here trying to be a robot. I'm over here trying to let my emotions come out. Like, I'm really just trying to work on myself.
Yeah.
So like when I see other confident people, I applaud them, because again, that takes work. And to be able to live in a brave way where you're not allowing other people's like, oh, they need to be humbled, or extra noise at, you know, them saying et cetera, like, no, like I feel like we should, there's a difference between being arrogant and just being confident. I feel like when you're being arrogant is when like you're also bagging on other people. That's how you know that that's a facade, because true confident people will never bring other people down because they're too busy building themselves up.
Dang.
Yes.
Oh, period, right?
Period.
Yes, I used it right? Period. Yes. When did you start to notice, like, what is something about the process of getting to know yourself where you're like, that you didn't, that you're like, oh, that I do like that about myself, and I never saw that in myself. Like, does something come to mind?
I would say,
because there's positive things, y'all. It's not like all scary.
So like, I think my therapist really helped me, because I think when I first started, I was like in a headspace like, everything's wrong with me. I'm a horrible person. I'm just awful. Like, look at me. I lost trust with myself because I was not listening to me. So like, coming back from that, my therapist pointed out like all the great qualities, and like, you're a great daughter, you listen, you really and then you're also like, you're being honest with me, you're really trying to be better. Like, you don't just come here, say something, and then just be like, okay, well, that's who I am now, I guess. I'm a jerk. That's it. It's like, no, like, you acknowledge that there's certain parts of you that you're not the most proud of, and you ask me, how can I be better? And I think that's one thing that I really do strive to try to have, is like be able to take feedback, but also knowing who to take feedback from, because some people will be giving you left or right, and like, I didn't ask you. That's unsolicited. I didn't ask. Okay. Thank you, but I didn't ask.
This one's a very important one. So let's start with the first one. You said how you have learned to like really accept feedback. So let's start with that one, and then we'll talk about who you get it from as a whole other thing.
Because sometimes like people who love you, right? Like, they like, let's say I did something to you, right? I would want you to tell me, hey, Jazzie, like, I know maybe you didn't mean it, but what you said earlier really kind of hurt my feelings. And I need to be able to like take that and not be defensive. Like, well, I didn't mean it. Like, even if I didn't mean it in that way, that's fine. I understand my intent. But if I generally made somebody feel uncomfortable with what I said or whatever, like, I should be able to take that feedback, like, hey, that really bothered me, or I didn't like that, and I should be like, you know what, that wasn't my intention, and I'm sorry. You know, versus like, well, you did this to me like last week, or da 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 da. And don't get me wrong, like, younger me for sure participated in the type of behavior, but now, like, again, through therapy and learning and maturing, I've learned that, you know what, like, I care about people. I want to be able to express myself if somebody has hurt my feelings. So I want other people to be able to express themselves to me, like, this hurt my feelings, or I didn't like what you said, or maybe this wasn't your intent, but like, this is how it made me feel. Like, I want to be able to hear all that without being defensive, because once you go defensive, nobody wins. No. Whether it be like the other person getting defensive or me, like, nobody wins. And at the end of the day, like, I want to cultivate connections and deep friendships and relationships in general, whether it be with my colleagues or whether it be with my I don't know, like my family, my partners or whatever. I want to be able to change things that might be hurting some. And again, it might not even have been my intention, but it still happened. I still did it. So let's figure out how I can be better, or let's figure out like a compromise and just apologize and just clarify like, hey, I hear you. That at all wasn't my intention. But moving forward, I will refrain from talking about X, Y, and Z because that really did, bother you.
So two things here. I think what you described here is like, when that exchange happens, like, you actually can get closer to somebody.
Yeah.
You don't actually, like, it's not
conflict isn't bad. Like, confrontation is not bad. If anything, it deepens relationship because then what happens is you just hold on to it, and then you start to slowly resent that person because you start getting angry and mad, and it's because like you feel like it might be too silly to address. Or one thing I know that I've had to work through is because I've done that in the past where like I try to express myself to somebody and they just gaslight me. That's the worst. But I also have had to learn like, hey, even if someone does gaslight you, like, that's on them. You going through the bravery of expressing, hey, this hurt me, or hey, I didn't like what you said. And if whatever they choose to do with that, that's on them. But the fact that you chose to speak up and you cared enough about that person to speak up speaks volumes. And that's how you know you truly care about somebody. If you're willing to go through like those hard conversations, those conflicts, because in all reality, you want to come to a resolution. You're not just like, okay, I'm gonna just say that and that's it. Like, no, you want to express something so that can be resolved, and so they know moving forward, like how to handle you or how to handle them in a way that's beneficial to both parties in the relationship. And
that is all, I think, a culmination of like getting to know who you really are. Because if you get to know who you really are, you understand what your values are, what you care about.
Your boundaries.
Your boundaries. We've talked about this with it was a counselor, Kel. She talked about this idea of like being unbothered. Because I think when you know who you are, like you know what your intentions are, so that when you receive that feedback, you're not like taking it personal, right? You're like, wait, how can I be a better friend or a better colleague, and how can I, because being able to be better at being who you are and representing those values through the eyes of other people, representing that much better, instead of being like, oh, they don't know who I am. It's like, well, you gotta trust that person. So that goes to the second part of this question, was like being able to receive the feedback, but also understanding like where you're getting it from. Yeah. So where you want to talk about where you're getting the feedback from?
I would say, what is that one saying? Like, if you wouldn't trade life with them, don't take their feedback too.
Wait, I've never heard that.
Yeah, like if you wouldn't trade spots with, like, what is this one? If there's one that says, would you take advice from someone who's not doing better than you, in the sense of like where they're at mentally, where they're at, like, certain aspect, right? Okay. And then the other one is, would you take advice with somebody you wouldn't switch lives with? Oh. So like, let's say, I'm trying to think of like an appropriate like example. Like, let's say like, there's somebody in my life that just isn't really great financially, isn't actually like a great friend because they're kind of like, flaky, and overall they just have some self-development, right? And they tell me, Jazzie, I think you're really rude, or I think whatever, right? Yeah. Why would I allow that to...
Hang on, sorry. Welcome to... You've done the work. It sounds like you know things, and it's very good.
I'm trying. I'm really trying. I'm really, I could tell. Really trying to put in that work, because I feel like, again, I just got sick of myself. I'm not gonna lie. I got sick of myself.
I got sick of myself.
You guys can go over there. I'll go over. I think camera and microphones are on.
Okay. Oh, I forgot what you were saying.
I forgot too. I think we were talking about knowing who to take advice from, and I think I was an example.
Yes. Oh, you were doing the example of like, you told me offline about that.
Yeah. I don't want to bring that in, because I don't want to give them a bad, like, it was
no. Just at the end of the day, right? It's like, no, like, you want
to trade lives with them, yeah, right? Like,
the context, their context, because.
And what role do they play in your life? Yeah. Are we on?
We are on.
So sorry. Do a clap. So when it comes to taking advice or like feedback from other people, just knowing what role they play in your life, and is it going to be beneficial to your growth, or also are they saying that in a place of projection? Because that's one thing that I learned too, as humans, we project a lot onto each other.
Can you describe projection for some people who maybe don't?
I would say projection is kind of like when you're feeling something and you're kind of putting it on that person. So like, let's say like, for example, you bought a new vacuum, and you bought a new vacuum, and I'm just like, oh, Jackie, like, did you get it for a good deal? Or like, are you sure you want to go with that vacuum? Like, that vacuum, like,
it's almost like you're asking the questions you ask yourself, and not thinking about their own experience.
Like, why did you get a black vacuum? Why not a gray vacuum? Because I'm into, like, let's say I want a gray vacuum. Like, why didn't you get a gray vacuum? Like, you're over here like, I'm happy with my black vacuum. I'm happy with the one that I selected. So like, fears can be projected, mainly fears, or like anxieties, or just
and positive desires, actually too.
Yeah, that too. That could be. Are you sure you didn't want to go for a bigger one? Right. Or for like the most expensive one, like the top of the line vacuum, whatever. So like, that's how you know when someone, like, if other people are putting their own thoughts onto your experiences, and I think.
How do you handle that, by the way?
I feel like I'm still kind of learning, so because I'm still like, okay, that was projection. That was actually, so I'm still kind of like navigating through that, but I've learned like about it, so that's been super helpful. I think I just kind of like sit on it, and then like later on I do a lot of reflecting where I just like think, and I'm learning to not like overplay things. Sometimes I overplay things. I'm like, why did I say that? Or why did I make that gesture? Like, that could have been misinterpreted. Like, no, like, yes, reflecting, but not like overdoing it.
Yeah, because you got to trust yourself at the same time.
Yes, like trust that. Like, another thing that leads with that is that what I was told is that it's intention and impact. So if my intention wasn't to hurt your feelings, but that still impacted you, then that's where impact kind of outweighs the intention because I still impacted somebody. But let's say like I genuinely did something and I know that my intent was good, but that person misinterpreted it. I also have to believe myself, like, well, your intention wasn't to say that, like, you know, it wasn't in a sarcastic way, nor was it in a sarcastic tone. Like, your intent wasn't to, you know, be snarky, to be belittling or anything like that. That's when you also have to, like, remember, like, what was your intent when you said that comment? And again, being honest with yourself, because I feel sometimes we be saying things and it's like, I didn't mean it, and like you be gaslighting everybody, like, I didn't mean it that way, like, it was just a joke. Was it a joke?
Because the impact is there, so you have to assess the impact. And when assessing the impact, you're like, oh, like, then you can be honest and be like, wow, maybe I should reflect, and how can I demonstrate my intention in a way that's going to be better received, because I'm trying to, if this is a person I trust and somebody I want to take care of, why wouldn't I want to do that for that person? Why would you not want to do that?
Exactly.
And you would hope they would do the same for you. You both are able to do that for each other. I think that's, you know, even relationships, I think like that's true love, when you can really like take accountability and be like, wait, maybe, okay, like, even though my intention, you know, sometimes our Leo pride was this, but if that's the impact that I'm making, then maybe I need to reassess how I go about doing that. So it doesn't change my intention. Exactly. It can still be you, but sometimes the way about it can be, oh damn, I was trying to kind of say that earlier, but that's a better way of like the intent and impact. That's really like literally boom.
Therapy. My therapist said that to me. He's like, what's your intention and what's your impact?
Damn.
Yeah, dude. My therapist.
Can we give her a shout out or no?
Shout out, but she doesn't like. Okay. If you ever find this, hello. Thank you so much for changing my life in the best way possible. But I don't know if she'll see, because like obviously like professional. But
no worries. Well, we always give our
yes. Thank you so much. Thank you. Like you really like helped me be the person that I want to be. Like honestly, yeah.
Okay, again, let's talk about that.
Because like I said, I for sure can admit I lacked discipline. I lacked trust. I lacked accountability. But through again talking through these hardships and opening up and all that, like I took accountability for my actions. And one of the questions I asked myself too when I'm having a tough time or a tough day is like, what am I doing to contribute to this? Like, what is my role in this? So
both good or bad, I guess.
Yeah,
right?
Good or bad.
Yeah.
Because then I can take accountability and then I can change things. So let's say I'm in a situation where I'm like just feeling really frustrated. It's like, okay, what can you do? Like, let's say I'm frustrated because I can't even think of something on the spot, but like, let's say that.
Oh, I can give you an example.
Oh, do you want to give me an example?
I freeze a lot.
Okay.
You know what I'm talking about when I freeze. Do you know what I mean by that, freeze?
Like where your nervous system just like...
Where I just like, I get so overwhelmed that I don't know what, like I just freeze. I just like either avoid or distract because like I don't want to deal.
Okay.
With...
I feel that.
Do you feel that?
Yes, I freeze too. So I guess like when I'm
freezing... But it's a pattern, by the way.
Yeah, so when I freeze, I guess like what I would do is like, okay, what role did I play? Like, did I not give myself enough time? Did I overpack my schedule? Because I'm spreading myself too thin. That's why I'm like overstimulated and I feel overwhelmed. So like what factors contributed to me overwhelming myself? Like, do I need to wake up a little bit earlier so I can have a little bit more me time in the morning? Do I need to like give myself more time to relax and not be spreading and saying yes to everything? Do I need to be saying no more often so that I'm not constantly having these commitments because that happens to me where like I'm having such a great time and I'm like, yes, I'll be there. Yes. Yes. And then the week comes and I'm like, bro, I'm so wiped out. Yeah. Like I feel so bad. And then you start flaking on things. So now what I do is like, I'll tell people like, yes, I'm available as of right now. I will circle back to you if anything changes. So kind of letting them know like, hey, like, and just being also honest, like, hey, like I'm agreeing to this right now, but I'm going to be transparent with you. Like, I'm going to also see how I'm feeling that week. Cause sometimes my mood will change. Like right now, again, I'm like, yes. And then sometimes let's say I've had a stressful week or like I'm dealing with some certain emotions too that I need to like really still process. Then I might not be up to like, you know, going out. I was like, you know what? And just again, being honest with that person too. Like, you don't have to go in super detail, you know, cause I also understand like privacy. But you can at least let them like, hey Jackie, like I know I said yes and I was super duper pumped and I'm still pumped. But to be honest, I had such a heavy week that I don't feel like I'm in the right headspace to really be present
Yeah.
and be there at our hangout or
Yeah.
be there at this event or
Yeah.
whatever. And that's on that person to be able to understand, and you know,
right
and if they don't, that's on them, because you communicated, you did your best. Again, the intent was to communicate, to show that like, hey, I want to be present, I want to be there, but I physically cannot, physically and mentally cannot, because then when you force yourself to do things you don't want to do, that's how you're also creating distrust, because you're constantly
I was hoping you'd bring it back to the truth,
because you're constantly
trust.
putting yourself in situations you don't want to be. Like that's one thing too, like it's okay to say no. It's okay, like if you get an invitation for something you don't want to go to and you already know you don't want to go to, it is okay to say no. You could be like, thank you so much, I will circle back to you, I think I might have a prior commitment, but I'll let you know, and then like let them know right away. Don't like prolong it to like if you already know like that you're not going to be going. Let them know. Let them know, like, hey, like, I won't be able to attend, but thank you so much for inviting me and considering me. And again, however that person takes it, it's how that person takes it. And if you're around people who constantly give you pushback, who could, like, get me wrong, maybe you might, because like, oh, like, you know, I really want to hang out with you, but I understand, like, that's fine. But if you're getting people who's like, oh my God, you never come around, like, also, like, I guess in those situations, be able to tell, like, hey, is this person just actually bringing up me being flaky because it's happened on numerous occasions, but say if it doesn't, then that's something you should note too. Like, hey, every time like I'm trying to express to them, like I don't have the emotional bandwidth, they get upset, because people should not be getting upset for you setting your boundaries. And that goes for us too, because I remember before I really had my own boundaries, I was that person too that sometimes would get kind of upset, like, you're not gonna come, like, but I want you to be there, like, which in theory, like, yes, it's nice to express that, but also you don't want to make that person feel guilty for already like, because they already feel guilty not being able to show up or be present. I know I do, like when I can't be myself, because I always, when I go to people or I hang out with people and all that, I want to come up as my best self. I'm not trying to come as like half me or like angry me or sad me, which friends have told me time and time again, like, just come as you are, like we love you, that's why, which I greatly appreciate, but also in my head I have a certain standard
what you want to experience
exactly of what I'm trying to put out into the world, because I'm not trying to always be around that's like, you know, let's say I'm grumpy or like I'm just, because then I can get snappy. And what if I say something that I just didn't mean to say, but because I was already not in the headspace and I forced myself to be there, now I'm over here starting problems.
This is some real, you're bringing up some really specific examples that are real. And I think my opinion is that like it has a lot to do with the work you're doing. You know, the healing and the purposefulness of it all, and how you want to be around others, and how much of yourself what you want to bring, because I think that's when you can really enjoy being at said place, because you're being honest and truthful, and like, this is when I know this is how I know I'll truly enjoy this time.
Yes.
And that can't be decided by other people.
Yes. Exactly, because then I show up, let's say, and I knew that I didn't want to be there, but I made myself go there. Then when I'm done with that function, I would just come back home and like replay everything. This is how I could have been better. Why did I say this? I said that with some little bit of attitude. I can recognize that. Exactly. Like if you're not if you don't have the emotional bandwidth to do certain things, don't do it. Yeah. And it's okay. It's okay again to reschedule. It's okay again, but just I think the key thing is communicate with those people. Don't just like, you know, disappear or also like wait till the last minute. Like if you're giving yourself, okay, like for example, if you don't know, like, okay, if you have an event, let's say on Friday, and you're like, okay, by Wednesday evening, if I don't feel the greatest, I'm gonna already start prepping that person, like, hey, you know, like maybe Thursday morning, letting them know, like, you know what, I'm kind of feeling I'm, you know, and then maybe clarifying, like let them know in the beginning of the day, and then maybe clarifying by Thursday evening, like, you know what, I'm really just, I thought I could, but I can't. Just communication. Yeah. It's really just communicating how you're feeling. And again, you don't have to go into detail, because I understand people are like, oh, it's because it's private, or I don't want to like bring them into my issues or whatever. And you don't have to, but just be honest and in a way that feels comfortable for you.
Yeah. This getting to know yourself. Can you describe, I don't know, like adjectives, like feelings that you have now that you're like, no, I've gotten to know myself, like what?
Like how would I describe myself? How would I describe myself?
No, I would say, how do you describe the
feeling?
The feeling that you do know yourself.
My confidence, the way that I talk to myself is a lot kinder. The way that I approach things, I don't take things personal as much as I did at one point in time. I give like people the benefit of the doubt, but correctly, because before I was like delusional benefit of the doubt. Now it's like now it's like more realistic. I would say I feel just more confident in general. And like if somebody doesn't like, one thing that's really helped me is like, I'm not for everyone. But not everyone's for me either. I don't like a lot of people, respectfully. Respectfully. So like, how am I, like, because before like that was the people pleaser. Like, I want everybody to like me. I want to keep the peace. But it's like, girl, you don't even like everybody. so that's okay. Exactly. So it's okay if people don't like you, just as long as, like the same way that you, like if I don't like somebody, like I just stay out of their way. I do remain, I don't start anything. I just like, you know what, I don't really vibe with that person. Like I might just like, hello, to be cordial and polite, but I stay away. I'm not gonna also be like, like, oh, like, no, if I don't really like vibe with somebody or I know that we just don't connect, that's okay. And then I just like, I'm polite and that's about it. Then I just like go on my way. I don't follow anybody that I don't like. Because that to me is also weird. Yeah, people's like, why would you keep tabs on someone you don't like? Why are you wasting energy on things that you don't like?
Yeah.
Like, it's like buying a rug you don't like and just having it there.
But what if you follow them and then you're like, and then you unfollow? Do you feel like there's... That's my own people pleasing.
Yeah, people are allowed to do that, because maybe at one point like I vibe with them and maybe they say something that was just against my values, and it's like, oh, like, because there's some things that they're non-negotiables for me. Yeah. Like if we don't align on certain things, then I'm just like respectfully, we're just not going to see eye to eye. And I'm not here to change anybody's mind. I'm not here to convince you to live your life a certain way. Because I don't want anybody convincing me and telling me what to do. So I'm not here to tell anybody else what to do and that why you need to like me and all that. No, I'm not here to convince nothing.
Yeah.
So not everybody's for us and we're not for everyone. Yeah. And that is okay. That's why you be you so that you can attract your people. That's what I'm really working on right now is like really building community. But community with my people and not people pleasing. Because when you're people pleasing, you're not really being yourself. You're only attracting people because you're people pleasing. And in all reality, you're not safe. When you're people pleasing, you're not a safe person because you're just doing things.
You're just like wherever you're.
It's actually a form of manipulation.
Of what? Manipulation?
Yeah, people pleasing is a form of manipulation because you're doing certain things with an expected outcome. And I understand, like when I first heard that, I was like,
I know, it's like, but you're like, no, people pleasing smells go up. You're like,
but in the same breath, people pleasing starts because it is a way of safety. Like for example, if you live in an unsteady home and like I don't really like doing X, Y, and Z, but I know if I do it, I won't get in trouble. So it is to a certain point, it is survival.
Makes sense, yeah.
But like again, just like anything in our lives, like there comes a certain point when we need to recognize that that's not benefiting us anymore, and then we need to drop that. Like it helped us survive in this environment, but it's not going to help us with growth in the long run, and it's not going to help us cultivate those deep relationships. Because if I'm always
including yourself,
including yourself, exactly.
It does.
Because if I'm constantly saying yes, let's say like you're saying like, oh, let's go get burgers, and I'm like yes, but I'm like in my mind I'm like I really actually don't want burgers, but I really don't want to upset Jackie, and I really want Jackie to like me. I'm just going to say yes. Well, and it's like no, if you only go with the flow, if you genuinely mean it, because there's sometimes where I'm just like yes, I don't like if somebody says like, oh, what do you want for lunch? Oh, I don't really care. But only say that if you genuinely don't really care. But if you're over here like, I don't really care, but in your head you're like, I hope she picks tacos. Say that.
Just say that.
Say that you want tacos.
It reminds me so much of that scene from Inside Out 2. So spoiler alert. If you haven't seen it, just fast forward or whatever. But I think about that moment when she's pretending to be a certain way with the new girls. And I'm just like, wow, like, when you're older, you kind of go back and you're like, damn, like, how much of us we, like you say, we try to be for other people and we lose ourselves. And then we're like, and so I think part of this, like getting to know yourself is this, it's a beautiful journey back to yourself. It's a beautiful journey back to understanding like, what do you really, in an honest way, in a honestly beautiful way, like what it is that you really want and do. And you are fearless and you are no longer lying. And it's like, I don't know, it is a beautiful thing. It's a hard thing, but it is a beautiful thing because that scene made me realize like, damn, like, yeah, it's like even in the little things, sometimes like if I can't relate to certain people, like I try to, like now I'm like owning my experience, in every which way, just being more like, oh, this is how it, like, even if I ask questions and people are like, wow, Jackie, I'm like, I don't care. Like, I'm going to ask the question. Like, screw it. Like, if you want to judge me, like, I'm not going to sit here and, like, agree with you. Like, what if I don't know something? And I'm going to ask a question. And before I would be afraid, I'd be like, I don't want people to think I'm, like, stupid or something. So and now I'm like, no, I'm going to ask a question. If you want to laugh at me, like.
Yeah, that's on them.
That's on them.
Like, why are you laughing at someone generally having a question?
Yeah, I'm like, I'm done. And that's why I was telling you about how this idea of like, I don't want the people's validation anymore. I'm like, I want to be like, how can I love myself better? Like, I want to know what that feels like to like myself. And
does Jackie like that?
Yeah.
Is Jackie appreciating that? Like, what does she think? That's, your voice should be the biggest, brightest voice in your head. Like the biggest one. Because at the end of the day, you are going to be there for you. No matter what happens. And you're like, yes, we have friends and family who care about us. But at the end of the day, you're like, same with me, like, I started therapy to better myself because I knew the only person that can get me out of this hole was me. Nobody else can do therapy for me. Nobody else was going to push me the way that I push me. People can be there to support you, and that's important to have community as humans. That's what we seek. That's why there is people pleasing, because at the end of the day, that's all we want. We want to be loved and have community, but we need to start with ourselves. Like, how are we going to expect people to love us if we're not even accepting and loving ourselves? Like, having somebody love you more than you, that doesn't sound correct.
It doesn't.
It doesn't. But I know at sometimes in our head, it does at one point, but like now saying out loud, and I think that's how you know we've grown, because now when we say the sentence, it's like, that sentence doesn't sound...
But now I'm like, I think I'm becoming impatient, because I'm like, wait, how do I... Because I've done all this work to be to have the awareness and everything, and I'm like, wait, now I want to feel that way, you know. And so it's still, but even like I know that's like, I quote that movie because like that, even that scene, like it makes me think about all the moments in my life when I was a little kid through now, like where I've done that, and I'm like, and forgiving myself for that, and being like, I did the best I could at the time.
Yes.
But now
you were little.
And I was little, well, also in my 20s, but I wasn't so little. But hey, you know, like, I think I'm on my way to I think I am on my way back to myself. And it's because of that I'm, like I said, I'm here today doing this with you. Like, because it was always that like voice in my head of like, what do who cares? Nobody cares what you have to say. Like, you know, no, I'm like, well, I care what I have to say.
Yeah, period.
So that's why, I'm here.
Yeah.
And I'm doing this, and I want to hear what other people have experienced. So I'm like, I'm doing it, and I think.
And you're doing amazing.
Thank you.
You're doing amazing. What you've cultivated, and thank you so much. I feel so honored to letting me be here with you and talking about this. Like, my inner self is like, yes, someone's letting me just yap about everything.
I'd have you here for another hour, girl.
Yes.
I'm like sitting here like, oh my God, tell me more.
And what I like about it too is because it's showing me that I have learned. Because what's that one thing, like if you're able to teach somebody else what you've learned, that's how you know you've learned.
Ooh,
yeah. So I'm like, okay. So like me able to like just give you all this information that again was given to me and help me break through like all the noise, all the voices. And don't get me wrong, I still struggle. There's some days where I still wake up and I'm just harsh on myself. I'm shaming myself. I'm feeling emotions that I just generally don't want to feel. But I have to acknowledge them because, like you said earlier, every emotion does have a purpose. It's just a matter of figuring it out. Why is this being brought up to me? Why, like. Another topic that's like, I know it's a little bit touchy to talk, like I get scared to talk about, but it's like the sense of jealousy. Sense of jealousy.
Let's do it. We've talked about jealousy.
Yeah, my therapist told me that like when you experience jealousies, it's your body and your mind and spirit telling you that you're lacking in something that you want for yourself. So let's say like you're really working out, right? And I'm over here like, oh my God.
Not really.
I know,
I love exactly you thought about that. I'm working out, man.
Like, as an example, right? Let's say you're really getting really hard and I'm over here like, oh my God, like, you know, getting in my feels about it.
Yes.
Like that to me is what was told is like you're just telling your body's telling you like, hey, like I want that for myself. I want more movement with my body. I want to head in that direction. So like when someone's doing something and it's making you feel a certain way, your spirit is telling you, I want to do that too. So how can you start doing that? Like how can you start showing up for yourself? Like it wants you to show up for you.
Instead of going down a jealousy route and spiraling with that.
Exactly.
You apply it and be like, oh, what am I learning here?
Yes, like what is this telling me? And then how can I show up for myself? Because at the end of the day, that's really what it is. It's how can I show up better for myself to go into the direction that I'm trying to go? Because sometimes we just be like procrastination plays a role into that.
I mean, I'm looking at your hair and I'm like, I want my curls back. I'm feeling jealousy. I'm like, I think I need my curls back.
Yeah, maybe that's what's telling you right now. It's like, hey, Jackie, like give some time to my hair. Yeah. Give myself more love. Give myself more self-care. Give myself more maintenance. You know, like that's maybe what it's telling you right now. Like I want to have those curls, and you can. This is really easy and achievable. Yeah, I'll give you the whole like.
You're gonna have to.
I was telling Jackie earlier, like the only thing that with curls is that they're so high maintenance. They really are. But maybe that's what your body was like. I want that. Maybe you want that. Maybe I want to sit there for 30 minutes. You know, have my hair while I'm like watching TV or whatever. You know, like find things like you know.
I think when you said that, I immediately was like, well, I don't have time. But it's like, wait, what?
Yeah, but you gotta make time for you.
I gotta make time for me.
Maybe that's what you was telling you, Jackie. I need you to make more time for me, because maybe you are doing so many things, which is good. You're booked and busy. We love that for her. But maybe you was telling you like, hey, I need to take it a little bit slower and work on myself and just give myself more love. Maybe like because it's not just about giving yourself love emotionally. It's also about giving yourself love physically. Like for example, me doing my nails, I know it makes me happy. Sometimes when I'm sad, I'm like, thank you. So beautiful. Sometimes that makes me happy myself.
I did do my nails this week. I never do my nails, dude. Thank you.
You're so cute. Just like little things like that. Like sometimes like when I'm feeling down, like I'll just like I'm gonna put my makeup on. Because sometimes when they say like when you look good, you feel good.
I don't know if you can see it, but you're glowing. She literally has glitter, but you do look like you're glowing. By the way,
thank you.
I can feel it. I can see it. Like. It's
again,
really
I just feel so honored to be here, to just be able to just talk and yap about all this. I'm having the best time. The best time.
I love it.
I really feel like, wow, Jazz, you really, like younger little me is like, wow, you really did grow.
You really did.
Thanks.
And you were great then.
You
were great then, you know what I mean? Like, so... Little Jazzie, like you were cool too.
Thank you. I appreciate that. No, same with little Jackie. You sound like a great, like I didn't meet you back then, but like when I see you,
I think we can get along.
We're two Leos. The sun revolves, or we revolve around the sun.
Dude, no, dude. Like when I was a kid, man, like I craved friendship. But it was hard.
Yes.
Believe it or not, people were not rushing to be friends with me.
No.
I don't know if I was too like, I wanted it so bad, but
I feel that.
Do you
but
feel
also,
that?
I feel one thing I've also learned too is confidence will stir up people who are insecure. So not just anyone can be our friend, because and I'm kind of glad. I'm kind of glad that my confidence repels people like that, because at the end of the day, like, and this is no shame or anything towards them, is like, but that just goes to show, like, if you're someone who's insecure, we got to work on that. We gotta like, why are we letting these outside voices to the point where it's making us feel insecure and we're feeling inferior? Because no one should make you feel that way. No one. Like, you should be confident in your skill, confident in yourself, confident in the way and who you are. Yeah. That to nobody, even if somebody comes like as a bright star, that should not shake you. That should not. And that's one thing that I learned. Like I said earlier, I'm not for everyone. And not everyone's for me, because again, I want to be around people who are confident, because again, that shows me they've worked hard for that. That shows me that they're willing to put in the work in their inner growth. Yeah. Because it is tough out here. It is tough, especially like as an entrepreneur and as a content creator, you get all this unsolicited feedback.
Oh yeah.
That people say, you should do this. Why are you doing blah, blah, blah? It's like, and that's just them showing that they're not secure in themselves enough to go do it themselves. Yeah. So they're going to tell somebody else to do it. It's like, you go do that. Yeah. You go do what you're saying. I mean, it's one thing to be like, you know, constructive. Like, hey, like maybe one more light would be great. You know, like that's different. Versus like, why are you doing it with that? Or it's like, so again, I've learned that confidence should not be shaking anybody. And if they're feeling kind of like wary about it, run. You know, let them work on themselves. And let them figure it out.
Wow. I never thought of it that way, even as like, now I'm thinking about it in terms of like, when I was a child, like thinking that these other people were maybe intimidated by my openness to be connect or whatever. Maybe they're like,
No, because I can see someone being that intimidating somebody, like, oh my god, because being open like that takes bravery, takes vulnerability, and when you see that, and let's say you don't feel like you have it, because everybody does have it, but maybe you don't, you've kind of suppressed it. Yeah. I can see how that'd be like, why does she think she can do da 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 da? Like, it's like no, like why are you thinking that it's okay for her to do it and not for you to do it? Because you can do it too. Like, if you want to be like Jackie, just say that. If you want to glow and have everything she's working hard for, book an interview. I mean, book an appointment with her. Maybe she'll like let you, pick her brain. Like, instead of coming at her.
Oh, come to me. Yes. Oh, I like that.
Like, let that person inspire you and motivate you, instead of like making them like your enemy, or making them like, why, or like, why do they wear that, or like, why are they so preppy, or why are they so like da 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 da? It's like,
why are you so bothered?
Yeah, exactly. Literally, why does it? That's the question I've asked. Like, why does that bother you?
Right. Why are you so riled up?
That's happened to me before. Where like I'd say like in the morning, I'm like in a grumpy mood or something, but I see somebody all peppy and super happy, and I'm like, ugh, and I'm like, oh, why are you ughing? Why are you bothered?
Right.
It's like, it's because I didn't sleep well last night. And it's like, how is that their problem? It's not. You're right.
Well, when you know yourself, because that's what something that changed for me is like when you know yourself and you're honest and you're not trying to filter or be something, just you're honest about what it is that you want and how you want to be and all this stuff, that when you look at other people you're feeling maybe that, we'll call it jealousy, right? If you do feel a slight like kind of like curiosity of like, instead of you don't come at them, you're like, whoa, how can I learn from this person? Because, and then it's like, it's a game changer. Then you're like, oh, like you are around people who are gonna be in your like level. I don't know. It's, and then you don't have that insecurity, and then you can be like fearless. I don't know.
Exactly. So instead of like seeing that person as your competition, or make them a mentor. Yeah. Make them an inspiration. 100%. Like, if you're intimidated by this person, like, oh, like when they walk into the room, like they just have like this, intimidation to them. Okay, like you seem to kind of like that. Like ask them, like, or observe them. Like what about them is it? Because like ask them. Like sometimes like, oh, I'm just trying to be who I am, or I'm confident. It's like, okay, I need to be more confident. Yeah. Like how can I own the room the way that they're owning the room? Yeah. And it's okay to also want to own the room, because I feel like that's one thing to like, oh no, like
make again, space.
Society wants to humble you so bad. Like they want to like not let you be you, and it's okay. We can all of us can flourish. There is literally enough abundance for everyone. The fact that society has put it on us that we need to be humble, that there's not enough abundance, that it's like a rat race, that is all lies. That's all lies that have to deal with capitalism. But that's a whole different,
that's a whole other
that kind of worms.
Interview.
Yes.
Another conversation.
Yes.
Woo. Wow, that was a good way. That was a good little ender right there. Yeah. Talk about that, because that is. Not enough people talk about it, and I think it's important to talk about it. It's honest too.
Yes, these are honest feelings that even myself was just like, ooh, like I don't even like feeling that. Why would I want to talk about it? But sometimes you have to, and then being able to, thank you so much for letting me talk about it, because there's certain conversations you can't really feel, at least I don't feel comfortable enough to talk with everybody, because I feel sometimes I get in my own head like, oh, what if they take it like this way? It's like, no, like I like yourself. That, yes.
You should trust yourself.
Yes, and the fact that you give me good vibes, like you give me like, yes, open up to me. I'm not gonna hurt you. The fact that you gave me really safe vibes, like I really, really appreciate that. Like because these are vulnerable emotions.
It is. No, thank you for sharing your story and if you didn't take notes, you have to rewatch this again. But I've learned so much with you right now. I'm like,
same.
Oh my God, I'm like,
same. And like the fact that you're like know what I'm talking about, and you reassure me like, oh my God, like same. Like we're like reassure, like, oh my God,
we've been in therapy.
Yes, we unpacked this.
We unpacked this.
We folded it. We color coded. Everything is nicely organized, and it's ready to be put back. That's what we did.
Dude.
That's what we did today. We unloaded a whole suitcase.
We did.
The ones that you have to check in. Not the ones that go overhead. The ones you got to check in.
Yeah. Oh my God,
50 pounds worth of it.
No, I'm so proud of you. I'm so proud of you, and I think you're gonna help a lot of people with what you're learning, because if we can have more of this, healing and trust within ourselves and with other people to learn from our mistakes, to have space to like give people grace, give each other grace. Like I think, that's why I always, whenever I can, I tell people like, you don't have to have like something crazy happening to like, whether it's therapy or just like you said, you reflect a lot. I think like reflecting is a wise thing. Like as much as I recently started this journey a few years ago. I will give myself a little bit of credit.
All the credit. All the credit. Is that,
as much as I was like trying to fix myself, I always was trying to reflect of like what's happening, obviously I didn't have like the knowledge or tools at the time that I have now, but like I feel like even with my career and my personal stuff, like that's what led me to like meeting someone like Anna and being open to somebody like Anna, which is like I'm like, wait, so I was like, I had like some like idea of what I wanted, and I think now I'm just like I feel like this idea of like getting to know myself, I'm like, I feel like I feel liberated. I feel free, and in the sense of like I am pursuing things that I really care about, and connection is very important to me. And and I don't know. I can just go off on a tangent, but anyways, I don't know what to say.
That's amazing. I am so happy. I'm so happy that you are loving you. And I love that because it inspires me to keep loving on me because that's how it should be, you know?
That's how it should be, yeah.
And the fact that you're taking care of yourself and the fact that you've reflected and the fact that you are grateful for where you are now and how it's led you to here and all your success and manifesting even more. Like, it's really inspiring. And again, thank you so much. This has been so good. My brain is like having all the serotonin and dopamine right now.
And now
like,
she's gonna have sugar.
Yes,
She's gonna eat her donut.
Donuts.
Oh, she's gonna eat her donut.
I will. But thank you again so much.
Yeah.
And I'm so happy that we're embarking in this, like, or not even, we've been on this journey. I'm so happy to see how far along we are in this journey. And not only for that, but to help for generations to come. Because again, this wasn't taught to me.
Yeah.
This is something that I had to seek out and I had to, you know, find resources to teach me this stuff. And what led me there is the eagerness to want to learn, the eagerness to want to better myself and to change. Because like, don't get me wrong, like, I know I was cool, but now I'm pretty dope because I put in the work. I put in the work to really like try to straighten out those like habits that weren't suiting me anymore, to start shedding again all that shame. And don't get me wrong, I'm still work in progress. I know I'm still gonna make mistakes along the way, but the fact that I want to change and I want to learn, and again, mainly to also not only just for myself, but to be able to inspire other people and show that it is possible.
Yes.
Because these generations, they need this.
Yes.
I know, like, if I would have been able to see like a podcast like this, and you know, maybe younger me would have been like, wow, okay, like I should start thinking of how do I manage my own emotions? How do I really understand the question, who are you? And knowing myself and the fact that I know now who I am. Because once you know who you are, nothing can shake you. Even if I were to say this about you, you know, like, you know what? I can see how that might be perceived that way for your experience, but I know at the end of the day, I'm a good person. I have integrity. I try to do good by everyone. I try to do good for myself.
Yeah.
I try to live like a healthy life. I try, you know, like, again, I know these factors that what are my values, what is me and what's not. So that when somebody says this about me or this or whatever, I know at the end of the day, that is their dream. That is their perspective, which may or may not be true. That's their truth. But I know what my truth is. I know who I am. And yes, maybe I might be like, let's say, like a grumpy person. I know I can be grumpy. Yeah, I can be grumpy. Or like somebody says, oh, you're kind of sassy. Like, yeah, I also can be sassy.
I wish I was more sassy, honestly.
No, I feel like with me, I go from jolly to like sassy, but like a sniper sassy. No, I have to be like careful because I'm over here. I want to like I can just sprinkle sassiness. It's either like
it goes from like boom to boom.
Yes. Like
I think it's the Leo thing. I think it's the Leo thing.
Yeah, I struggle with being in the middle. Like that's one thing that I'm like I have to actively be aware of to be in the middle. Yeah. Because I either go from like 0 to 100 real quick. And it's something that I've learned about myself and that I've also learned to accept. Like, you know what, Jazz? You go from 0 to 100. There's the good things about it and there's some bad things about it. Try to be in the middle, but also if it comes out, don't judge yourself for it. Don't judge yourself. Trust. Don't judge yourself. Yes, don't judge yourself. And if it does happen, go back and ask, okay, why did that happen? How did I play a role in that? How can I better so that I don't snipe someone again? Or what did this person do to get sniped and not be around a person that will make me go into a headspace that will snipe them?
Yeah. See, I met you, 5-6 years ago?
Yeah, I think it's 2018 at my internship.
6 years ago.
Yeah.
And you're like a full-on confident adult doing adult things. So
look at us.
You're always welcome here if you ever want to come back. If you're like, Jackie,
part 2,
this, part 2, 3, 4, 5, whatever you want. Like if there's things that come up, like please know you're always welcome here. Yeah.
Thank you.
Cheers.
Cheers.
Jazzie. Oh, let's
to Jackie.
No, not to Jackie. To what's good?
Oh, what's up? What's good?
To Jazzie and Jackie. Two fierce Leos.
Cheers.
Jazz.